Good afternoon, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Thank you again for joining me. I always appreciate your presence and sharing your time with me. Today is August the 13th, 2022. I will share some news with you. I have a video to share with you about the first direct engagement between the Ethiopian Federal Authority and the Tigray region peace delegation mediated by AU. So I will start with that video. Then I have also another video on the and also President Biden's statement on the Salman Rushdie attack happened in New York, plus other news. So thank you again for joining me. Let's share WION video on the first direct engagement between Tigray region and the federal authority, Ethiopian Federal Authority peace delegation, which is mediated by African Union. Thank you. Let's start.
Conflict, the Ethiopian government and Tigrayan rebels have mooted the possibility to end the 21-month-old war in Ethiopia. This comes after the African Union negotiated talks between the two warring sides. The African Union, in a statement, said, and I quote, "Both the Ethiopian government and Tigrayan rebels held direct engagements. The statement is the first public confirmation of direct contact between Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's government and the Tigray People's Liberation Front. The AU Council called on the warring sides to place supreme interests of Ethiopia and its people above everything else and embrace inclusive political dialogue as the only viable approach towards finding a consensual solution to the current situation. It further urged international partners to scale up their support for the AU-led mediation process. Fighting in the past few months has eased in northern Ethiopia since a humanitarian truce was declared at the end of March, which allowed the resumption of international aid convoys to Tigray's 6 million people. Since the war broke out, Ethiopia's northernmost region has suffered food shortages and access to basic services such as electricity, communication, and banking. And for more updates on this, we are now being joined by our correspondent Coletta Wanjohi from Addis Ababa. Coletta, thanks for joining us. My first question, after months of conflict, the Ethiopian government and Tigrayan rebels have finally mooted the possibility to end the 21-month-old war in Ethiopia. How likely is it at this point?
Well, what we have is just a public declaration, the first one of its kind from the African Union. We are yet to get any official statement or official declaration from the government itself, and maybe from the TPLF. We haven't got that yet. So what we have is just what the African Union has said. Well, analysts say that the modalities of the meeting, if it happens, or the kind of negotiations or the kind of interactions the two parties had, are still scanty. So we would not understand what really, if it happened, what really was talked about or what agreements were made and all that. But what we know is that the government has already formed a negotiation team, which is a good sign that it is ready for any negotiated process. And the African Union is encouraging the TPLF to do the same and form a team. I mean, with a team, then it's easy for representatives to talk, and we will not have just individuals talking from here to there. So we are still waiting for an official confirmation, at least from the government. But as it stands, both sides have already shown some appetite for peaceful resolution to the process.
Right, absolutely. You say this is the first move, and it shows that there is, in fact, the possibility of some kind of peaceful resolution to this conflict. Should this conflict get resolved, should there be a peaceful resolution, what is the road ahead for rebuilding the region, especially where it is being witnessed that there are food shortages, communication blackouts, banking challenges? What are the challenges ahead for the people of Tigray?
well, a very big challenge, not only for the people of Tigray, but also for the government itself, because it is the obligation of the government, as in any other state, to ensure that services reach its own people. At the moment, we have a bone of contention where people from the Tigray area are saying that they still need services to be put up. At least we had that from the special envoys of the US and the European Union who visited the Tigray region about a week or so ago, and they came back and their statement kind of hinted to the fact that the people in Tigray were asking for the resumption of basic services like banking, communication, and other services. And on the other side, the government was not really happy with this kind of statement, because it said that it's already putting some effort. It has signed an agreement with the UN operation arm, which is UNOPS, to ensure that it kind of leads some of the restoration of services in the Tigray region through money or a grant that has been given by the World Bank. It is a long process, but for, as analysts say, for any rebuilding or reconstruction to happen in the area of Tigray, then the government and the Tigray People's Liberation Front, which are now the main factions in the war, must sit and at least start a peace process that is a bit tangible. Only that way, then it will be easy for restoration of services the other side.
Absolutely, Coletta. Thank you so much for all those updates, and thanks for joining us on Beyond Addis Ababa.
We have an extensive collection of models and skeletal material that the students can use and touch and manipulate. We don't want the students.
He came to give a lecture.
Okay, I will come back to the Salman Rushdie attack video and Joe Biden statement on that one. It's a very serious. He injured. He's 10 hours ago. Media outlets are informing us he is on a life support. So it's a very serious injury. So the direct engagement between the federal government of Ethiopia and the Tigray region peace delegation is a good news. It's encouraging news to settle the issue, even for those who are keep talking about Ethiopia, but not working hard on restoring Ethiopia. Just the only way they know is using force to settle all legitimate concerns, to destroy others, to restore Ethiopia, to sustain Ethiopia. That kind of policy is not working in this 21st century. Now, dialogue, negotiation, argument to settle the issue is much better than waging a war. Now, the war is ongoing in Oromia. Prime Minister is asked multiple times to settle this issue. He refused. He sent all the resources he has to Oromia region. So Oromia is under the war now. And we don't even have that much information. What is destroyed, how many killed, how many injured, who are participating in this war. We don't have that much information because the government media, the medias in Ethiopia are not reporting. Even this one, this direct engagement between Tigray representative and the federal government is not on the media, on FANA or EBS. I didn't see. I checked it out. I didn't see. It's not reported. So there is an information shortage. So anyway, it's encouraging. We want this issue to be resolved if we want to sustain, restore Ethiopia for all Ethiopians. For all Ethiopians. So they should. The Tigrayans, they suffered more than 2 years. They shouldn't suffer anymore because of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed policy and his supporters. And all these basic services should be restored. Water, electricity, banking, communication, whatever the media is mentioned, they should be restored immediately, really. They shouldn't suffer. They shouldn't suffer. If we are talking about restoring Ethiopia, really, if we are really talking about restoring Ethiopia, you don't have to, you know, engage a blanket embargo on citizens. So this should be restored, and these people should, you know, shouldn't suffer anymore. So when this one is, you know, restored, and the peace talk continues, I hope it is gonna open the door for others too. The war we have is not only in Tigray. We have, as I said, war is everywhere. Benishangul, Gambela, Oromia region, you know, Somali region. So we need to settle the issues through peaceful dialogue. Then bring those responsible for the mess, for the war crime, the genocide happened in Oromia at the end. So that's a good start, and it's encouraging for all of us. So we continue to watch it, and any development will report to you. We want to see the light on, the water turn on, the communication turn on. We want to see the Tigrayans celebrating that. Those basic services, and this common cumulative embargo ended soon. I want to see that. So thank you, and let's continue to the other news. I'll come to the video later on. Let me read a couple of news. The first one is about the ongoing issue between passengers and those who are traveling from Amhara region to Addis Ababa. That's also a big issue. People are also suffering. Transportation is blocked. Let me read. It's just let me read it quickly. South Wallo, Debre Brahan, drivers, passengers banned from entering Addis Ababa. Southern Wallo Communication Bureau announced that passengers traveling to Addis Ababa from Dese City, South and North Wallo zones, and Wag Himra zones were subjected to extreme harassment and abuse when they arrived in Sheno City, Oromia region, to enter Addis Ababa. Unless they hold Addis Ababa residents' IDs, they couldn't pass, it was said. Similarly, transportation service from Debre Brahan to Addis Ababa have been suspended for the same reason. Travelers expressing their complaint to the South Wallo Zone Government Communication Bureau said that since the past few weeks, their attempts to enter Addis Ababa for various social issues, including medical follow-ups, have been banned by security forces. You cannot pass unless you bear an Addis Ababa ID, they said. The complaints, including the elderly, women, and the children, said that even though they had a medical appointment and other social issues with their loved one residing in Addis Ababa, they were not able to enter the capital for unknown reasons. We were not considered as citizens, and we are subject to a lot of abuses and insults, they condemned. In this regard, Addis Standard spoke to Rabbi Muhammad, father's name changed for security reasons, one of the travelers who were denied entry from DEBB, Wallo maybe, to Addis Ababa at the Shano area checkpoint. Following my husband's employment in Addis Ababa, I brought my 4-year-old child with me from South Wallo, Kombolcha city to Addis Ababa. We were denied passage before entering Shano city, adding, because the situation is not good, I took my kickback to where I came from and we boarded Ethiopian Airlines to Addis Ababa. Head of South Wallo Zone Roads and Transportation Department, Kadir Yimar, said that travelers have complained that the cross-country buses provided by the department are being repeatedly stopped by security forces when they arrive in the Shenona area. According to the information Addis Standard acquired from the zone communication, the drivers also said that they are finding it difficult to accept the services provided by sector, and they have informed the Amhara regional government and various institutions about the seriousness of the problem. Acknowledging her awareness of people's complaint regarding the matter, the deputy of the Amhara Regional Government's Communication Bureau, Helena Mabratu, admitted that such unpleasant experiences on travelers are happening only because security forces are filtering insurgents who were suspected of holding illegal IDs and documents following the war in Tigray, who are trying to wreak havoc. She stated that such filtering should be conducted diligently in a matter that does not hurt the travelers who are being subjected to abuse and unnecessary expenses. The head explained that the people of the Amhara region are also making an effort to counter the attacks that our Tigrayan forces may carry out in various areas, condemning the mass harassment that is taking place on the travelers. She called for immediate corrections. He added that the leaders of the regional government are trying to discuss and solve the problem with the official of Addis Ababa city and the relevant federal government. Similarly, passengers and drivers traveling from Debre Brahan to Addis Ababa told Amhara Media Corporation AMC that vehicles with Amhara license plates and Amhara region ID cards are being harassed. The driver said that they have stopped working because of the harassment. Due to the problem, Debre Brahan bus station has stopped providing services. Sisai Wolde Emmanuel, head of the North Shore Zone Road Transport Department, recalled that passengers and drivers have been raising repeated complaints and said that the latter were forced to stop providing services following the absence of an appropriate solution from the concerned government body. The chairman of North Shore Zone Transport Association, Gabre Exabir Tasama, explained to one of the FM radio based in the capital that vehicles with Amhara license plates are not able to work because of the traffic policemen and the road insecurity in the Sandafa area of Oromia region for unknown reason. When the drivers arrived in Sandafa city, the traffic police would charge them a fine ranging from 1,500 to 2,500 birr, he explained. He further stated that more than 40 vehicles with Amhara license plates were illegally changed charged in the last 2 days in relation to this matter. In addition to the charges, the traffic police also threatened the drivers not to come on the line again, the official said. The driver, who spoke to the Addis Standard on the condition of anonymity, shared the same idea. Where is our country heading to under such circumstances? Adding, I support my family. I support my family by driving. It is hard to live if this kind of violence continues, he said. Addis Standard asked this driver what the current situation is like, and he said that the that do not enter ban that started yesterday, August 11, has been fixed, and urged government officials at all levels to dispose of the public trust they have been entrusted with tackling an unwanted national crisis in Ethiopia. Damallash Yalfal, a resident of Debre Birhan city, told Addis Standard that the Oromia Special Forces and the militia in the area are responsible for the problem. According to him, after Debre Birhan city was recognized into a sub-city, it named its qabalis after the old kings, nobles, and the people who were indebted to the country, to the county, to the country. When we were traveling to Addis Ababa with this ID, the security forces were harassing us, saying that you should not enter, he said. He recalled that the incident happened to him 2 weeks ago and told our reporter that he heard from other people that the current situation is being corrected and that he wants to go to Addis Ababa to handle his daily routines that he planned months ago. According to Gabriel Xavier, in addition to the charges against the drivers, public transport vehicles are prevented from entering Addis Ababa at Sandafa and the Legatafo checkpoints. The chairman of the association said that they stopped the transport service not to go on strike, but to ensure that our rights are respected. So that's a chaos. That's a chaos or a challenge created uh, between Amhara region and Oromia, and the people are suffering on that one. So it's a challenge. It's a mismanagement, a failed leadership in that country. Anyway, reflecting in many phases, whether high unemployment. Inflation, all kind of war, harassment, mass detentions everywhere, especially in Oromia. Oromia became the center of detention, mass detention, and they don't have a right to a free trial. So there's a lot of challenge under Abiy Ahmed leadership. This is about university teacher associations also feeling the pain of inflation and low level of salary and other administration mismanagement. So they also warning the education department and the higher education to resolve these issues. So these are the issues described. This association, the University Teacher Association, has more than 40,000 members, so it's a big one. The Asosa University also joined this warning. What the issues they mentioned? Shortage They are asking for housing allowance because of the inflation. They cannot, afford salary increase. The right to transfer to other cities or other regions. Advancement within and also other better treatment for teachers. So they sent a letter to Higher Education Authority and to the Ministry of Education to resolve all these salary issue, mismanagement, transfer issues, and others to be resolved within a month. If not, they will suspend the learning teaching process. That's a warning. It is credit to Addis standard again. So that's a warning from this Addis University Teacher Associations. They have more than 40,000 members. It's a big issue when these educated individuals start challenging the system. There may be a way out from all these challenges we have been talking about under Abiy Ahmed, the challenges we have been facing in Ethiopia. So we'll see. We'll follow it. So that's a warning letter sent to higher education officials and the Ministry of Education from the University Teacher Association. Okay, this is a statement by President Joe Biden on the attack on Salman Rushdie. Salman Rushdie he was, I think, as an Iranian citizen, wrote something against some controversy over the Islam, Quran. So that's why he ran away. He is living in hideout for almost 10 years, I think. Now he was attacked yesterday, I think, in New York on the stage. Let me read what it says, and I have also a video on that one. So this is a statement from Jill and Joe Biden. Jill and I were shocked and saddened to learn of the vicious attack on Salman Rushdie yesterday in New York. We, together with all Americans and the people around the world, are praying for his health and recovery. I am grateful to the first responders and the brave individuals who jumped into action to render aid to Rushdie and subdue the attacker. Salman Rushdie, with his insight into humanity, with his unmatched sense for story, with his refusal to be intimidated or silenced, stands for essential universal ideas: truth, courage, resilience. Truth, courage, and resilience. The ability to share ideas without fear. These are the building blocks of any free and open society. And today, we reaffirm our commitment to those deeply American values in solidarity with Rushdie and all those who stand for freedom of expression. So that is a White House statement on Salman Rushdie attack happened yesterday in New York on stage. So he's in a very critical situation now. Okay, the last reading for today. Secretary Blinken's call with Kenyan President Kenyatta. This is a readout. Office of the Spokesperson, State Department. Secretary of State Anthony J. Blinken spoke today with Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta to discuss the Secretary's recent visit to South Africa, the DRC, and Rwanda, noting his appreciation for President Kenyatta's continued effort to advance regional peace and security. Secretary Blinken encouraged continued peace and patience as the vote tallying from Kenya's August 9 election proceeds. So that's a very short readout about U.S. Secretary Blinken talk with Kenya President Uhuru Kenyatta. Thank you, and that's the end of the reading. And let's continue with this couple of videos and end today's presentation.
About freedom of expression in the United States, but left on a stretcher, headed to hospital and emergency surgery. Police say the celebrated author Salman Rushdie was stabbed in the neck and the abdomen. Witnesses say it happened quickly.
He had just walked onto the stage, was still being introduced less than a minute before the event began, after the event began, and a man rushed from this audience up onto the stage and started punching or stabbing. It wasn't quite clear, but there was clearly some sort of blood or red liquid going in many directions. A collective sigh of shock from the audience. We have a paramedic here.
Rushdie's alleged assailant was quickly taken into police custody, and the attack decried by local leaders.
We are undeterred in our commitment to make sure that we call it out, we condemn what happened, we condemn all violence, and we want people to feel that freedom to speak and to write truth.
Salman Rushdie was forced into hiding in 1989 after his book, The Satanic Verses, was denounced by the Iranian leader Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. Many considered the book blasphemous in its portrayal of the Prophet Muhammad. But even before Khomeini's ruling, it had sparked protests and been banned in several countries. A bounty of $3 million was offered to anyone that would kill the British author. But even as Rushdie was being burned in effigy, he was celebrated in the West and later knighted by Great Britain.
Many in the Muslim world did not believe that it amounted to an act of blasphemy, nor indeed did many in the Muslim world believe that he deserved to die for it. But those voices of moderation and indeed those voices of a more secular dispensation were crushed.
More recently, Rushdie could often be seen at public events. The lecture was expected to focus on the role of the United States as a home for free expression and an asylum for writers and other artists in exile. Kristen Salumi, Al Jazeera, New York.
In Hiroshima, I made two concrete asks. First, ask the nuclear-armed countries to commit to no first use of nuclear weapons, and ask nuclear-armed countries never to use or threaten non-nuclear-armed countries with the use of nuclear weapons with full transparency in relation to their arsenals. I hope these asks will be taken seriously, because we are witnessing a radicalization in the geopolitical situation that makes the risk of a nuclear war again something we cannot completely forget.
Okay, so that is a very strong message from United Nations chief about nuclear arsenal. So that's all I have for today. So thank you for joining me. I hope we have fun together. That's all I'm going to share for today, especially the first direct engagement is between Ethiopia Federal Authority and the Tigray region. It's very encouraging. So we want that issue to be resolved so we can tackle other issues in other regions, and all the basic services, the medical, the electricity, communication, banking, lighting, water service, all basic service must be restored if we are ready to restore Ethiopia. It's not about talking. Talking is senseless. You need to show with action. After restoring, after settling the peace, then we're gonna talk about the genocide, the rape, and other human rights violations carried out in this war. And the United Nations investigation team is already established, and they should be allowed to do their job, to figure out who conducted all crimes carried out in this war. So we hope to see that. So first step first. So we want to see this peace negotiation continue and settle the issue, restore the basic services for these people, and we want to see a happy face, a celebration in the Tigray region. Thank you for today. So long, everyone, and be safe.